turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher. Turn to the teacher.
And welcome back. I'm Mike with the Turntable Teachers, and class is back in session. Here for another guest speaker episode at AOA Studios. If you're an artist, producer, podcaster, make sure you hit us up at aoastudios.org. Book your session today. We are running a special on all of our services throughout the summertime, so make sure you take advantage of that. And I am joined today by another special guest. Everyone, please give a warm welcome to Solmaria. She is an artist from Salem, Massachusetts, and she joins us today. Solmaria, thank you so much for being here. This is really exciting. I'm so happy to be able to sit down and do this with you. So how you been? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Mike, thanks for having me.
Yeah, no doubt.
I was super excited. I know y'all just opened. You just had your grand opening.
Yeah, thank you.
At AOA, so congrats.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, thank you for coming and attending. It was cool to meet you and
I appreciate it.
No, of course. And I what's so awesome about the local scene, I think this goes kind of right into my first question, which is so dope. But like, you know, I've been doing this for like almost 4 years now, right? And you know, I get asked this a lot. We're like, oh, like, are you, you know, you must know like pretty much everybody that there is to know in the mass scene. And it's like, no, I don't, like, because new people are popping up in either on social media or when I go on like to different events and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Like so many people pop up like yourself, who I was not as familiar with, and I got to meet you here and get to know more about you. And I was like, so, you know, like I just love that aspect of it. So this segment of the show is called The Objective, where we get to know you a little bit. And being from the North Shore area, particularly Salem, Massachusetts, I'm a Danvers guy, so I'm familiar with the area as well and familiar with Salem. I spent a lot of time in my younger years in Salem, that's for sure. But I know you are like born and raised, Salem bred. And you are like so like enthusiastic about the local scene here, like I am. But you come at it from, of course, like an artist perspective. So I know you're like been heavily influenced by Salem and also just like the local Massachusetts music scene in general. So for you, like where did that start from your influences as an artist in this area in particular?
Wow. Okay, so I might rant a little bit here. Cause...
Yeah, you're good. You're good. No, this is your platform. This is your time. This is your guest speaker episode. You can
my episode.
Rant. Go for it. They've heard enough of me. They want to hear from you.
Yo, when you called me to tell me that I won that raffle, like I had to pull over.
Oh no!
I had to pull. I was like, I never win anything. It was amazing, and it's just like, yo, like shout out to the universe and like
for real,
you know, because. And I'll say God because that's my personal, you know, not to whatever to anybody, but
no, you're good.
Yeah, it's just everything's been aligning, so I'm so blessed and grateful. But yeah, so local music scene wise, I have to say, shout out to Rec Shop movement. Justice Bourne, he was one of the. Well, basically the founder, and then you know, shout out to Mr. PSA.
PSA, we love PSA around here.
Yes, yeah, he's the man, and you know, there's so many, but yeah, anybody, if you hear Rec Shop movement, you know, anybody involved with that particular, I'll say movement because that's what it is. You know what I mean? It was a movement, and a lot of stuff was born and bred from that. There's just so many artists, and there's actually, if you go, I think YouTube has it, the Subway Cypher, stuff like that. I didn't get to really participate because I'm a mommy, and my little ones were very little, and you know, obviously like I have a village and support system that, you know, but when they're that little, you really don't want to just leave them with
that's your priority at that time.
Yeah, it's a priority because there's so many needs, and you know what I mean. But anyway, so Rec Shop movement is a big one. And they used to have shows over at Opus Underground, which tears.
I know,
no longer
right?
exists.
So sad.
So sad.
Such a great venue.
Yeah.
And like will be sorely missed.
Yes.
And what I loved about that, I didn't actually, funny enough, I had known about that venue, but not until like a little bit later on in my, sort of, I guess, podcasting, like sort of, music marketing career that I do now. And I've gone to a couple of shows there, and what I've heard is that they really are so good to artists. Like that's a venue that in this area in particular, like artists love to go to, because they knew that, they weren't going to be charging them this wild fee to perform. And it was just like an opportunity, and it like gave people at least a stage to be on. So like from that perspective, it's definitely going to be, I think, a venue that's going to be definitely missed.
So on the subject of Opus, I had a couple shows there when I was with, I was in a band previously.
Right.
Which was fire. Like, it was a good experience. That's how I kind of started to get back into performing, because I think I mentioned this earlier, right? The first time I touched the mic, I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't even, like, you sing at home or whatever, and I was just always singing, and I was a shy kid. I still am kind of shy, but, I have reasons and purposes for doing the music and, getting involved with the community and things like that, which we'll get to. But yeah, it was a great venue. It'll be missed. But that's where I first started to see the rec shop events. And that's where I met a lot of local artists. And shout out to Brandy Blaze, Red Shades, Oompa. I saw Oompa for the first time in person at North Shore Community College when I was a student.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, she came in for it was like a writer's series for, I believe it was Arts in April, which is an amazing program. We could tap in on that later, because
I would love to.
There's so much. I'm so excited. This is such an exciting time, really. But anyway, so she came in a couple years ago, and she started, her thing was, I knew Oompa from poetry, and then, started to hear music and everything, and she was doing a lot of like college campus shows, and she's an amazing human being. And everybody I mentioned too, Brandy Blaze, Red Shades, Cake Swag, DJ Ysham.
Oh, Ysham just DJ'd our first ever show, and like she's I love all of them. Brandy. I know Brandy and Ysham the most out of the four of them. I've met Cake Swag once, actually at Brandy Blaze's listening party for her latest album, which is, if you haven't heard it yet, I mean, you're sleeping. It's incredibly good.
Wake up.
It's for real. Wake up, right? It's really, really good. And and Ysham's just been a staple as a DJ in this area for a long time. She well precedes the Turntable teachers, that's for sure.
Yes.
All these people do. Red Shades, she's actually one of like our original guests. She's probably like in the first dozen to 20 guests we ever had on the show. She was a pandemic guest, Zoom guest. Wow. Yeah, these are much better. We're glad we've graduated from the Zoom days for sure. No, but that's a great and as a woman too, especially, it has to be amazing to see some of these women not only just creating the music, but like really making waves. Like let's not even just talk about how dope their music is. Like, I mean, Red Shades got. I know she was invited to the Grammys this past year. Brandy Blaze just did Boston Calling. Ysham has DJ'd for the Celtics a million times. Like, Cake Swag's just going, like, numbers wise is doing really, really well. Like, and she's made some awesome music. Like,
visuals go crazy. Yeah, all of them too. Like they've been killing it consistently for such a long time. And then, as a woman, and it's just been amazing to just be inspired, and because it's like, how do I put it? Like when you feel called to do something, and then you're just kind of, that was my thing. Like I know that I've been called to do music, and beyond that, serve my community with different, and this is just like different types of art. Music is one of the arts that I do. There's a bunch of other stuff that I do, but talking about that. And I have to shout out Paula Ferris, of course. Paula Ferris is also Rec Shop. I started to.
She's originally from Peabody, correct?
Yeah, North Shore.
Yeah. We have. I don't know her personally, but we have some mutual people.
Yeah.
Shout out Paula. We never met in person, but familiar. So that's for sure.
And Nimke too. also North Shore girl, PB,
Awesome.
amazing artist, human being, just super dope women on the scene.
Yeah.
And it's just like, anytime I see something negative, I'm like, who you talking to? And who you talking about? Because it's not the people I know. 'Cause no. And it's honestly like, it's all love. And there's, I feel like I don't want to leave anybody out. But at the same time, it's just like, there's just so many. Like, you just literally look around and you see a lot of people are collaborating. And like, Mass is up. Massachusetts is up.
It's getting there.
Boston's up. Like, this
getting
whole
there.
area is really, yeah. And it's just over time. And I have to recognize the ones that have come before me, because they paved the way. Like,
1,000% did.
Termanology.
Oh,
Yeah.
Talk about somebody that just cares about the community,
Yes.
cares about Massachusetts, like,
Yes.
really cares about Lawrence and where he's from.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't have to do as much as he does still here if he didn't want to. Like,
Exactly.
he's at a level now where he doesn't have to do anything like that. Doesn't have to put on for our different artists here. He could easily be doing, and again, I wouldn't blame him for that.
Of course.
It would be his own prerogative and what's best for him in his career.
There's a choice in that.
But he made the choice to essentially do both, and I feel like he's exceeding at that. So big shout out to Term as well. Another artist that and it's funny too to see, like, he's an artist that I knew of even before I got super tapped into the Mass scene. Like, I had been familiar with him already, so to be able to meet him and like just see how he moves and to see how many people really like genuinely have nothing but kind things to say about him as a human being, not even just as an artist, but as like a human.
Yeah. Good Dad Gang. Shout out to Good Dad
Seriously.
Gang, Good Mom Gang. It's a whole movement. And I have to shout out ST the Squad, DJ Deadeye. That's Bay. Which we're currently working on a couple things together, like project wise, and so it's been dope to. It's dope to have a partner like in life and also like with business, because it's very difficult to find that balance. So I'm just super grateful.
100%.
So I've been just tapping in with, and then they've been doing this for decades, at 20 plus years.
Oh, 100%. Well, Term especially
worldwide, traveling, and
Absolutely.
and it's just amazing to me, because you remember the time before area codes, like before, like you could just dial if it was within your the general region of where you lived, and then they had to incorporate the area codes. So, and I know this story because I've been just getting knowledge and getting schooled on certain things. The term, like, if people say like the 978 or 978, for the most part is referring to Lawrence, but also people adapted it for the North Shore.
Right.
So Term, SC the Squad, DJ Deadeye, all that, like everybody in that camp. And shout out Static Selecta, killing it. Like, another Lawrence. There's all these, like, these are for the most part Lawrence folks, right?
Sure.
Lawrence fellas. And I mentioned Term specifically because I'm actually on a couple songs that he's on. Nothing, I got a couple vocals and stuff like that in, but more coming soon.
Awesome.
And then they he just dropped a track with 9-9 called Dangerous. You'll hear my background vocals. It's fire, super catchy, super amazing. And then I'm also on the album Rapping with My Friends. Term dropped last year, I believe it was 47. He has so many.
I actually believe it was his 47. Yeah, I think I actually think you're spot on. I think it was his 47th.
Yeah. So I'm on the last track, More Pain. I said a prayer, and it was dope. We did a video, which hit. It was just it's been a really amazing. I'm just, again, grateful to the universe and God and everything, because just things have sort of just been aligning. Not sort of, they have been aligning, just because, and it's mostly because how I've been approaching certain things, and you know what I mean?
Oh, that matters.
It does matter.
100%.
So it's been quite a ride. I feel like I'm bouncing around.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, so back to the 978, right? Because people use that. They don't know. Like, that's who originated that. So if you see anybody claiming 978, the 978, shout out to the fellas, to Term, DJ Deadeye, and everybody, all the Lawrence cats. And I had to put that out there because, again, I recognizing the ones that came before me and paved the way, because I use that. I say 978, because it's, to me, it's like, because Peabody, but it originally,
Everything. Yeah.
that's,
But right. No, it did originally in like the Lawrence region, and then
Yep.
it kind of trickled out here.
Yep.
No, I think
Because it became worldwide.
Yeah.
They brought it to Europe and
I know,
Asia,
right?
and
It's
like all these
crazy.
crazy places.
It's amazing.
The whole here in the U.S. Like they're going to.
Yeah.
They have a show coming up in Colorado, I believe, at the end of the month. So yeah.
Well, even someone like MDOT, who's right in
MDOT,
and Beverly and the EMS folks, like
Amazing.
they always do huge numbers when they go out to and sell out shows when they go to Europe. It's so awesome to see, and I want to commend you, because I feel like, as young aspiring artists, sometimes as they grow up, they only pay attention to the Drakes, the Kendricks, the Alicia Keyses, the Beyoncés, the Taylor Swifts, whatever insert huge national artist here, right?
Of course.
For as influence, you said, no, I'm gonna like look at it from a different perspective and look at it from the roots and what's around me, and like take that as inspiration. And I think that will take you a little bit further, because you're not, obviously it would be amazing to reach that level of fame.
Oh,
but
I'm
at
not
the
in
same,
it for fame at all.
Well, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Is like that's why I feel as though you're in it for the right reasons, in the sense of like you've only looking at it as like, I want to focus on my community. I want to focus on the artists that are, I can grab, I can be in front of and be a part of and work with, like tangibly.
Or even go to the shows.
Sure.
Like shout out to Lib. Because, like,
my guy, our guy.
That's
Shout out Lib.
That's the homie. That's my cuz. And I actually, when I first started recording, I started with Lib. So,
yeah.
The track that I currently have out, Anthem, was the beat and the mixing and mastering was done by Lib.
Yeah. He's one of our engineers here.
Amazing.
He's a good asset. We really, and just a good soul. We love.
An amazing artist.
Yeah. Hell yeah. We got a really dope project in the works right now. I don't want to give too much away on that. Myself and Lib, but that's an off-air thing. I don't want to give too much away.
Well,
but it's gonna be pretty wild. He's such a good human being, and and there's again, I think that Massachusetts for a long time has gotten that bad rep of like us being super competitive and not collaborative. I think that the narrative is changing, and I think it's slowly changing, especially around here. Maybe nationally it's not sort of getting that yet, but I'm seeing it. I've seen it adapt and change and grow over the last few years that I've been involved in the scene. So again, I just want to commend you, because I love that perspective. As you've gone forward, you're like, no, like I want to be inspired and influenced by what's around me and what I can like tangibly have, not like this level that like I feel like I need to get to as an artist, that I feel like but a lot of artists, or not all, but a lot of artists feel like they have to get to this level of fame and success. And honestly, it's not always what it's cracked up to be anyway. So, kind of careful what you wish for type deal. Nice. But good for, props to you. How'd you meet Term? Like, how did that sort of connection or relationship sort of formulate?
It's so funny because people ask me this question whenever they when they see, and it's crazy because like shout out to my big brother, because honestly that's where this, so I'm kind of, I like all types of genres, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And the first real big introduction to hip hop was and I tell this story all the time, so I'm glad I get to put it like on, put it on record and put it out, because it's just such a crazy story. So I grew up in church, right?
Yep.
And my mom, I love her. Shout out to mama. Very religious household, very strict household. We were not allowed to listen to secular music.
Okay.
It was like that. I don't know if I mentioned this, but evangelical Pentecostal church.
Oh shit.
Like I didn't have my ears pierced, so that was like in my 20s.
Wow.
I used to have to wear skirts, like modesty, all that. I got in trouble one time because I was walking home from school in sweatpants, and one of the sisters saw me.
God forbid you're comfortable.
I was like, no, and I'm like, and it's just crazy to me because it's like it wasn't skin tight, but anyways, I digress. It's just like shout out to all the church kids out there, because I feel you. The strict people who were raised in like strict households. It's just, oh man. But obviously it has its good things. But anyways, I always sort of rant.
You're good. No,
but
this is the space to rant, honestly.
Yes.
So,
So excited.
you're right in your element here.
So my brother was my brother's a rapper. He's never put anything on wax or, you know, recorded, but I found his rhyme book one time and it was just like, whoa, like, and he went through a lot. Like when he was I believe 4 years old, his father was a drug dealer. So he was basically gunned down in a basement at like point blank range, like crazy, like, I won't even get into details, but it was a setup, whatever. His dad got set up. And then, so, you know, my biological father basically like raised him and whatever. So anyway, he had a lot to write about, of course, because going through that, you know, and he's just him and my mom was a single mom for, you know, met my dad, had me and my sister, and then she was a single mom again. So like we all sort of collectively went through a lot, but my brother especially because he was the oldest man of the house, you know, and that's my dad.
I can relate to that.
Yeah,
yep.
He raised me, and I'm just like big ups to him and shout out to him tremendously. Love you, bro. And he basically introduced me to hip hop. And the first time that I saw a Wu-Tang CD, my mom found it in he had it hidden under his mattress, like it was drugs. Like I was like, yo, this is wild. And because she was so adamant about like what was allowed in her house and all that stuff. She's very, very strict about it. But that's what we were sort of taught, because being in the church environment, it's just what you did or did not do. And he wasn't home. She put the CD in the freezer. And I believe it was, I don't know if I said this already, but I think it was Enter the Woo. So she put the CD in the freezer. And then I'm like, what is she doing? And she's on the phone and she's ranting. And I know better than to, like, we're Puerto Rican. So I know better than to get in the way when she's not in the mood, because, you know, we get loud, like, you know. So I'm just like minding my business, quiet kid, you know. I'm just like, because I'm pretty chill for the most part, you know. And I'm just, there goes my alarm, mom life. So I'm standing there kind of peeking over, like, what is she doing? And then I see her take the CD out of the freezer, and I'm like, she's like, oh, she's gonna see this and that, saying stuff in Spanish. At the time, I didn't really know Spanish. It was crazy. So she goes outside and she just like smashes the CD with a hammer. Damn. And I didn't hear the album at all for years, but that always stuck with me. Yeah. Because I was like, yo, for you to have that type of like
a visceral reaction to it.
Yes. I'm like, why? Yeah. And so when I finally started to listen to Wu-Tang, I was like, whoa, you know. And I don't claim to know all there is to know, like music, like knowledge of music of, you know, the bigger names and such. That's why I'm also with the local scene. It's various things, because it's like now I'm really more like tapped in and stuff like that, because I'm around it, you know. Sure. But yeah, Wu-Tang, obviously, like I have to show love, because that was where it began. And then my brother, getting to the answering the question, was also like, he's a hip hop head. He knows a lot, and he used to go to a lot of the local like shows and things like that. And I became aware of Termanology through my brother, and I was like, oh, cool, whatever. And when I started doing shows and coming out to the public after COVID, because I was with a band for a couple years, and like literally the same month that I decided I'm gonna go solo, everything shut down. Oh, God. I was like, no.
That timing, huh?
The timing was, but it gave me, it allowed me to decide what I really want to, do I really want to do this? So last year was the year I started to, get back in it and started doing shows. So I don't have a lot of music out. I have a lot of music that I've been working on and I perform. Mm-hmm. But I've been doing mostly shows, like live shows and things like that, really just trying to connect with people and have them hear my sound that way and see, like, what people enjoy. It's sort of like a split testing sort of thing, like with my marketing brain. So it's been cool. And then just enjoying enjoying those moments. And so I met Term at one of these local shows that I was at as a fan. Not even, that's why I say, like, as a person who appreciates the local scene, mm-hmm. I think it's important to just, if you're an artist, and you're not on the bill for a show, go to the show. Just go to the show. Support your friends. Even if you can't make it, buy the ticket. $10.
I love that.
You bought a coffee for like $9.89 last week. So, like,
I love it.
you know,
I love
so yeah, just even once in a while, whatever. Because I know that sometimes people can't get there because like transportation, etc. But like,
or just life,
or
you know,
life,
just,
like
I
whatever,
mean,
life,
so,
life,
kids,
life be,
jobs, all that stuff.
life be life, and
Yeah,
you know,
no,
$10.
like I have a
investment.
I have a friend of mine that couldn't make the show, our show from a couple weeks ago, and he still bought a ticket, and I was like, let's shout out my boy Andrew, man.
That's
I was like, thank you, man. Like, he didn't have to do that, you know what I mean? But like I love that that sentiment. Like, if there's an artist that I support,
Yes.
but I can't make it, and there's a ticket, more often than not, I'll at least. I do the same thing. Yeah. So it's nice to know that like other people are trying to spread that same sort of idea, because it goes a long way. It helps, you know. Yeah. Well, that's super cool. And like, again, he's just I love you know, his good. I love his good dad gang. Excuse me. Sorry, I'm fumbling over my words here. I love his good dad gang movement. I can really get down with that. Yeah. For context, I grew up single mom household too. 3 boys. I was the oldest, so like I can kind of relate to a lot of the things that you're saying. We were not a religious family at all, so I can't relate to any of that. But I can relate to some of those dynamics, and actually got a chance to talk to him at his album listening party for the Paul Wall album.
Oh, amazing! Yeah,
which was really at Bridge, which was super dope.
Yeah. And
I got to, not for a while, because he was like, he obviously he's a busy guy, he was talking to a lot of people, but I got to at least just say, like, hey, listen, like, I really appreciate this platform coming from somebody that comes from a single mom household, and and so we connected on that a little bit. So, and I didn't forget that. So I appreciate you, Term, if you're listening. Big shout out to you for for taking the time to talk to me about that, because it meant a lot to me at the time. So and to see that somebody that has the platform that he has pushing something like that, because dads, or men, we gotta be responsible. We gotta be in our children's lives. It's so important to have. I got super lucky, like later on in life, that I had some adult male figures that were able to kind of help me navigate the ways, but for a long time it was really just my mom.
Those are important, those roles, like so shout out to and there's like having those male role models, or even
it's massively important.
It's
part of I think I honestly believe it. Or
father figures, rather, male or female or non-binary, etc.
Whatever,
loves to everybody.
No, of course.
Whoever fills that role is important. You know
right.
what I'm saying? To have that, just that village, that support system.
No, it's huge. For sure. From me being as a young man, like growing up, like I always like really wanted that. And I think it's funny, because I think you were talking earlier about like the universe sort of just like putting you in different positions. I honestly believe that I wouldn't have become a teacher had my, you know what I mean? Because like I don't know if I would have gone down that path had my background not been what it is. Like I would say, like my dad not being around as much, and just being having just be my mom, and me having to be like a father figure to my younger brothers at a young, or at least a man of the house sort of idea. And I think that did catapult me into like what I ultimately chose to do as a career, and I'm obviously like seeing the impact I can have on young teenagers, and I take that responsibility with a ton of weight. I don't take it lightly at all, and and I think that, and I think actually catapulted me into that sort of like idea. So I think but I agree with you that you're right. It does take a village.
It does.
100%. It takes a village.
I would not be here sane and collected. Oh man, you should have seen me like maybe 10 years ago, or I was a mess.
Listen, we all have our but no, listen, you're
a village that helps you out and sort of like is there through those tough times, and good and bad times, because it's not all bad for too long, like and
it's not all good for too long.
It's not all good for too long,
it's gonna ebb and flow as just life inevitably does.
It does. Okay. To summarize that, like how I met Term, it was at one of the shows, but he doesn't remember, which I think is funny, but it makes sense because he meets so many people, but it was really like I think Instagram, he had seen one of my performances, and then he had followed me back, and I was like, oh, fire. I'm like, oh, this, I appreciate it and stuff. So I shouted, I was like, I hit him up. I was like, yeah, thanks for the follow, man. Appreciate you and, everything you're doing and stuff. And then it was just a organic connection that was just like really cool. And as like, working on music with him, and then that's how I met my boo, which I'm like, thanks, Term, matchmaker. It was, he invited me last November to go to the studio.
Sweet.
And there was no intentions to record anything, and like I'm not like, what's the word? I'm not an opportunist at all, but like you
don't like take the initiative always.
I mean, no, how do I put it? If someone invites me somewhere, I'm gonna go.
You're not gonna like overstep a boundary.
I'm not gonna overstep a boundary.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be like, because he had been saying like, oh, we should work on something for like, and I think it had been a few months, and I was just like, he's busy. If someone wants to work with you and they're not, if they hit you up, especially someone of that, of that caliber, right? It'll happen if it happens. And if it doesn't, then it wasn't supposed to happen, So I went to the studio, and then I started talking about God and like, just like spiritual stuff, prayer, things like that. And then he mentioned that he had an album coming out. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. Like, so he was like mixing it and stuff. And, a couple of people were there, and shout out to Wonka Sound and Lowell. Amazing. Sir Bob, the man. He's done, I believe he's worked with like Slain and a bunch of other like amazing artists. So he's just like one of the best. He's been doing it for a long time. So, engineering and everything. He also plays, which is great. He has a band. Like, shout out to Bob. He was like, oh, I have an idea. And again, the track is called More Pain, and it's about, he does a lot of songs about like the struggle, etc. So he's like, oh, what do you think of doing? He's like, do you pray? I was like, oh, every day, but not like the ritualistic, not the ritualistic sort of things. Like, it's more of like whatever I'm going through, or like just even being grateful, like just shouting out with like gratitude and like, that sort of thing. And it's like, oh, I have an idea. Would you like to do a prayer on this? Let's see how it, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then I was like, oh, sure. Like, let's do it. So I went on, I think I did about 2 takes, and that was it. He's like, okay, you're on the album. I was like, oh, fire. I was like, this is cool. I'm like, it was just really, so it happened so organically. And, and that's just it. It's just, I found that when you let things flow, they sort of just, what's meant to happen will happen. And, I have just so much gratitude for a lot of the opportunities that have presented themselves. And, obviously I've been putting in the work, to do a lot of things. I have a ways to go, and I'm just grateful for where how far I've come through just being able to work with other artists, not just Term, but like a couple other, like Nita Slay. Shout out to Nita Slay from Lynn, amazing. Jay Ness, we have a track that has been, it hasn't come out yet, but it's been built, and it's amazing. And I just want to shout out the Lynn scene too, because they have like such a sound and amazing artists that have been around for, SDNAC, and I'm trying to think of like more. I'm gonna remember afterwards and be like, oh, I forgot. But just shout out to Lynn, Chewy.
Oh yeah. C Wells.
Oh
Suriel.
Man. So I worked at Lynn Tech when C Wells was a student.
No way.
Yeah, I was an interpreter for the shops for like 3
awesome.
years, and I didn't even know until like a couple years back that he had just started to take rapping seriously. Was around that time, and that's the first time. And I was like, oh, like, you're fired, keep going. And I'm so glad. So shout out to C Wells.
He's incredible,
consistently just like professional, sounds amazing, and his his brand and clothing line and stuff. It's just really, really dope to see that out of a place like Lynn, because it sets a precedent for the future, 100%. For future generations. Amanda Mena Oh my gosh, have you heard of her?
No, I'm
So
actually not familiar with her.
Dominican. She was born in Dominican Republic, came here when she was little.
Oh, wow.
I used to work. It's so crazy. Like this is why I love seeing local artists flourish and thrive, because it's sort of just been, again, it's been around me for so long, and even before I decided that I wanted to like do music professionally, and I've known her since she was like 8 years old. And she used to have the little braids, and she was an adorable little kid. And I worked at the YMCA. I was one of the staff, and so we used to just supervise the kids, do activities, etc. She was just such a sweetheart. And her mom is actually an Olympian, I believe, weightlifting.
Damn.
Just like badass, like amazing, like Latina queen. So shout out to Amanda Mena's mother. Her name is slipping my mind right now, but she was inducted into I believe it was I don't know the exact organization from Dominican Republic, but there's a Hall of Fame over there for athletes, and her and David Ortiz and a bunch of other
nice.
a bunch of other yes.
She's among some royalty. That's for damn sure. She's
Yes.
it sounds that way.
Yeah, so Amanda comes from like that camp of like hard work and like I don't want to say the American dream because I have opinions about that, but just that sort of that grit and persistence and sort of that thing, like that drive and determination. She was on Level's Kids, The Voice Kids, when she was young, and she won it. She was on America's Got Talent, got a golden buzzer. She's done she's performed with like Boston Pops and what else? She's just done amazing. She goes to Berkeley now. Like she takes it very seriously. Wow. And through her, I believe, through her and a couple of local artists, and because she was at the YMCA as well. She was very involved because she was a YMCA kid, And now they expanded the Y, and I believe there's a recording studio there now. Or
At the Lynn Y?
At the Lynn Y.
That's really cool. I didn't know that.
The Salem has one too.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
They have a recording studio there?
Yeah.
No way.
Way.
Oh, that's fire.
Way. There's just like all these crazy little, not crazy. There's all these amazing opportunities and initiatives and resources that people don't even know about. And it's like, no, they're not like these organizations, I don't know why, for whatever reason, aren't really marketing them.
Well, I think that's the biggest thing, right? Is like having people know that these things exist is like the number one thing.
Yeah.
I mean,
you can't say equity and then not, But I think a lot of it's just they don't know. They don't know.
Right. I don't think the
need is or the opportunity really with like social media and just like different ways of like just mostly like video, because video content is
and then just having the means to be able to market it successfully. That's not like an easy task. That can be a challenge, and often is the challenge.
It is
with honestly any sort of entrepreneurial or artistic sort of endeavor that you're seeking. The marketing is obviously a huge part of it. No, that's great. I think that's just a beautiful message and beautiful messages that you're sending out there. So do all the snaps. Big props to you. Yeah. I teach English. I like my poetry.
Hey.
I do want to get into the next segment of the show, which is the main lesson. Talk to you about what's going on now, what you're, bringing everyone up to speed with what you got going on currently. With I know you're working on an album. I know you you just graduated college, which is huge. Congratulations to you. I know you're a mom. There's so many different things that you got going on. The first one I think makes some sense to talk about first would be the education thing, because obviously as a turntable teacher, I'm a teacher.
Yes.
I appreciate anybody that values education, and that doesn't necessarily always need to be in the traditional sense.
Yes.
I think people look at education and then they just think, like unless you're book smart, like that's education. Like not really the case. You have a really unique story when it comes to education, and a resilient one at that. I don't want to tell too much of it, and I want you to be able to tell it. But I know that like you almost didn't graduate from Salem High initially when you were in high school, and you had to really bust your ass just to even get to the point where you got your diploma. And then going to school college was a difficult task, and it's not easy for a lot of people, and I understand that. And you but you still persevered and you graduated about a year ago. You had said, correct?
Yeah, last May
That's
2022.
amazing. From North Shore. So yeah, just I think your story is great to hear, because I think it allows for young kids out there to know that they don't need to necessarily go down this quote unquote traditional path of 4 years high school, 4 years college, get a job right away. That is a path, and that's fine.
Yes.
But that doesn't need to be the end all be all. So yeah, take me through kind of like your educational journey, so to speak.
Yeah. So pretty much. So yeah. So I went to Salem High from 2002 to I graduated in 2006. Almost didn't graduate. I went through. Like I already told you that. Again, my mom, like, single parent household.
Yeah.
Shout out to anybody that's lived in a single parent household or single parents out there.
For
like
real.
Much appreciated. Single caregivers are like such a light.
They're
like,
superheroes.
Superheroes, yo.
They really
and it's
are.
just like
they're playing two roles.
Yeah.
It's
everything.
it is.
Like, and it's like nurse, chauffeur, like like
Yeah,
chef,
they're playing more than two roles. You're
like,
right. Yeah.
sheesh. They did a calculation of how much, like, if single parents or like the main caregivers were actually paid for certain duties and responsibilities.
Oh, I don't even want to know.
Oh man, you wouldn't be able to afford
it.
So it's like, I'm expensive, like expensive. Like, to quote Nita Slate, energy expensive. Okay, like so man, yeah. So education, wow. So it wasn't a lack of intelligence. It was that I didn't have the privilege of just focusing on school. And so, yeah, so that was really like my grades suffered. Like, I never really got A's and B's until college and North Shore or whatever came along. But anyways, so that was a whole thing. So by the end of the year, I was like, I didn't get to do any senior activities, because I was taking those whole 2 weeks to go every single day and make up all the work from, actually, no, it was quarters. It was 4 quarters. Yeah, all the work from second quarter I made up in the span of 2 weeks. And then I got like a B average. So I was like, no, there's not, because I had a scholarship and I didn't want to put the scholarship at risk. But I was like, the fact that I went through that was like, okay, I can do anything now. It was like one of those moments that I was like, yes.
Good learning opportunity.
Good learning opportunity.
Yeah.
And I just like, just sometimes, and again, like, life sometimes happens.
Yeah.
And, I got through it, and then I went to Gordon College for 3 semesters. I was struggling because there was a lot of stuff, there was stuff going on back home, and I had to live on campus at that time. But then it was just like I was being pulled in a lot of different directions.
Yeah.
So I ended up dropping out, and then I had the bright idea to I moved out of my mom's a couple years after, and then bright idea to get married and have kids, because that's what you do when you're raised in a sort of that fundamentalist like environment, and it's sort of like drilled into your head. Well, you don't want to be an old maid, or start a family. That's your measure of success. Start a family, etc. So fast forward, probably 8 years after I got married in 2010. Things didn't work out. I became a single mom of 3, and then I decided, like, because for a while I had been wanting to go back to school, but because of my little ones were little and just different, like, the environment just absolutely sucked. It was crazy, and I just want to tell, like, if it ain't for you, don't stay. Just saying.
That's good advice.
If it's not for
advice.
you, don't stay. Get out of there. And so I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to school. So in 2019, I went back, and yeah, I ended up doing digital and social marketing at North Shore Community College. They didn't have a video program at the time, but I'm happy to say that now they have a digital video production program, because me and a couple other students kept asking, like, why doesn't this exist? Like, how does this happen? Because content creation and and social media, and then especially with video, that's a very valuable skill.
It's not going away.
It's not going
It's
away.
only going to get more
Exactly.
valuable as time goes.
Yeah.
Because you were pretty instrumental in, like, trying to push for that program. To my understanding,
Yeah.
for that program to exist at North Shore, correct?
Yeah.
Wow, how does that make you feel, knowing that, like, you were a large part in making a program happen at a school that not only didn't have it and was devoid of it, but now you're contributing to it and contributing to the success of it. Like, how does that sort of, like, when you look back on on this journey from an educational standpoint, like to get to this point, like, how does that sort of, other than just saying it makes you feel good, because obviously it makes you feel good, but like what on a deeper level, like what does that mean to you?
Oh man, that's a very really really good question. So thank you.
You're welcome.
It's very encouraging to know that, because there's a lot of community colleges around us. So shout out to community college, because there's like a stigma against them for whatever reason. Boo.
F the stigma.
Because a lot of the
Seriously,
professors there,
not kidding,
teach at universities.
Yeah.
They're going to pay top dollar for it anyway.
Right.
And they have like such they're just so knowledgeable and supportive. And, even if you decide to transfer to a university, you'll get all the support there that you needed that you might not have got. Like, that's what I said. Like, when I was in high school, I didn't have the opportunity to just focus on academics because I had a lot going on. And that's sometimes, it happens. And at North Shore Community College, they serve a lot of adult learners, single parents, caregivers, etc.
My mother was one of them. My mother graduated when she was 40, maybe like 42 or 40, maybe early to mid 40s.
Yeah.
And not to cut you off, but like
Bro, do you think?
the big thing that people don't understand, if anybody in young high school, younger, whatever, or parents of kids, please listen to this.
Yes.
This is a hack that not a lot of people know. Right in Massachusetts, if you go to a community college for 2 years and you get a certain GPA, I believe it's only like a 2.8 or a 3.0, somewhere in that, you can then get free tuition at any state school and transfer after 2 years. You get your associates at a community college, and then you can then transfer and go get your undergrad for the next 2 years at any state school. And that means UMass, any of the UMasses, UMass Lowell, UMass Amherst, UMass Boston, Salem State, Framingham State, Fitchburg State, MCLA. The list goes on and on and on of state schools that you can go to and get free tuition. And then you're only paying for the first 2 years. You're paying that community college fee.
Exactly.
Because and I'm sorry, now I'm going on a rant, but like
my own
rant.
No, rant.
But why in the world? And this is my students. Any of my students or former students that are listening to this probably exactly what I'm going to say because I say it all the time. I don't understand if you know at 18 what you want to do with your life and what you want to do. You want to go be a doctor. Absolutely, go do it.
Yeah.
Go be in med school. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if you are 18 years old, 17, 18 years old, and you don't know what you want to do, don't waste 50 to 60 to 70 now almost $80,000. BU is almost $80,000 a year to go to a year.
I'm sorry, I took that sip right now.
She's like, hey, I'm sorry, what? $80,000 a year.
No.
Why would you waste that much money if you don't truly know what you want to do? If you know what you want to do, it's different. If you're like, I want to be a lawyer, I want to go to law school, BU's got a good law program, fine, go do it. I'm not suggesting to not do that. But so many kids are just like, there's that stigma of I need to go to college because my parents are telling me to, or society is telling me to. Whoop, sorry, I didn't mean to hit the microphone.
Very passionate about this.
It's the truth, though. It's the truth.
Yes.
And it's just, and that might seem odd coming from a high school teacher. You would think like a high school public teacher's like, oh, go to college. Like,
yeah.
And that's just, I just see the landscape, and I almost wish. I mean, I went to a state school anyway, so my loans aren't like insane, but like. Right. I'm still paying school back. Like had I known, like, well, I probably wouldn't have met my my long-term girlfriend, my life partner, Carissa. So I'm actually glad I did go to Framingham State and all my best friends, well, not all my best friends, but a lot of my best friends. So it did work out. But no, like financially speaking though, kind of wish I did the community college route.
Save a lot of money.
Especially now.
Yes.
Especially now because it's damn expensive.
And also, have you heard of the Mass Reconnect program?
No, I'm not familiar.
Ooh, all right. So I'm not sure when it's starting specifically, but definitely keep your ear to the ground. Google it. So if you look up Mass Reconnect, it'll come up Massachusetts anyways, because, or Massachusetts Reconnect program, whatever. Something along those lines. It'll pop up. So they just announced an initiative to have community college for free for adults age 25 or older who don't have a degree from a college or university.
That's awesome. That's
so
fantastic.
You can completely, if you're eligible, if you're 25 or older, and especially like single parents, caregivers, if you're sick of your current career and you never got your degree, now's the time to do it, because you won't even if you meet this requirement, again, 25 and up, and you don't have a degree from an accredited college or university prior, right? You can go to school for free.
That's amazing.
And they have grants.
Finally.
And they have other
goddamn time.
They have other and they have a lot of like different pathways and things like that. So if you have a general idea of what you're interested in but not sure, because they have like, you could do liberal arts and then you can do a pathway into like history, or if you're into politics, right, or whatever. Yeah,
because liberal arts is so like broad, you can kind of tailor it to whatever.
Yeah, and the way that they do it over there at North Shore Community College is that they get to know you as a person.
Well, that's actually the great part about those smaller schools.
Yes.
Even when I was at Framingham State, the class sizes were super small.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my classes, I think my biggest class I was in
That's awesome.
was like 35 students.
Small, yeah.
Yeah, and that was like just a gen ed. It was like a, I think it was like a math course I had to take or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And that's like a general math course.
Yeah, usually those would be popping, especially at, you said Framingham?
Framingham State.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the class sizes were small.
Yeah.
I mean, my teaching courses when I was getting to like my junior senior years, like were, I think my senior capstone course only had like 8 students. So we worked really, really closely with the two, and there was like 2 professors that we were working closely with. So it's like we pretty much had a ratio of 4 students to one teacher, which is amazing. And then like you get to know those people, and one of them, and specifically shout out Kelly Matthews, who is like near and dear to my heart. She's like one of my favorite professors at Framingham. We ended up becoming super close, and then years later she would invite me down to like English undergrad seminar nights where I'm like speaking in front of like all the English majors about like what I do with my career and things like that. Like I was on this panel for like years before COVID. I'd go back every year and do like a seminar with the kids, and just like things like that. Like I stayed involved, and it was because of my relationship with her. It had nothing to do. That had everything to do with that. You know what I mean? It had nothing to do with the fact like, oh my God, like this guy is just massively successful. Like it had nothing to do with that. I'm not tooting my own horn that I was, but or that I am, because it's the connection. That was the most important part of why they asked me back there.
Amazing.
It wasn't as if I like became famous and was doing this crazy thing, and they're like, you have to have him back, So no, it was more or less of just like, oh, you're a good person. You somebody that I think people will connect with. Like, we want you as a part of this panel. So it was great. Those are the types of things where, like, again, whatever. I think at the end of the day, you have to know what's best for yourself. That self-awareness piece is like the most important part. If you know you're not going to do well in a school that has, a 200-person lecture hall, and you're not going to pay attention. You got ADHD and you're going to need that extra support.
Yes.
Like, maybe that, maybe you might need to sacrifice the quote-unquote party school for, because you'll have time for that.
Yeah.
Like, you'll always be able to make time for the stuff like that.
Of course.
If you want to have your fun. I'm not saying people don't have fun, but
it's 2 years. Not even. You could do a certificate program too.
For real.
8 months.
So,
boom.
No, thank you for bringing that up, the Reconnect program. I think that's fantastic. And I know, like you said, and equity is a huge issue as well. I mean, of course, in some of these, some city communities and honestly communities everywhere.
Yeah.
It just like family situations, financial situations. It's not every family, even 10 years ago, could afford to send their kids to college. And now it's even harder.
Yeah.
So, some people have to go in the workforce right away.
For sure.
I was somebody that I got lucky that I was able to take out loans, but I still had to work throughout the school year and throughout the entire summer just to and I was pay my school bills. I still had an overhead bill of we'll give you X amount of money, but you still owe X amount of money every year. And so that would, and I just, again, single parent household, she just, my mom did the best she could, with a little bit of help from, my dad, but it wasn't like a ton of money.
Right.
Like it was all,
Yeah, she was doing it all.
It was, yeah. And so a lot of it was just like, I gotta, pay my part. And so it was tough. I won't lie. But I got through it, and I'm good for it. I feel better off now for that. But it's not every family has even that luxury of being able to do it. Some people have to go in the workforce right away.
Yeah.
So it's and we know that a college degree gets you so much, or even just an associate's gets you so much further financially and stability wise. And it's just hard to live in this country right now as
it really is.
As not only I mean, obviously, as a minority, it's extremely difficult to live in this country.
Especially
but
like if you're trying to I am I'm digging out of literally like generations of poverty.
I believe it
still, and it's just like I made the decision. Obviously, in my younger days, I was 22 when I 23 when I had my first child.
Right.
That's very young. Like I didn't really have a window big enough, or to establish myself in the way I should have. I mean, I could have, should have, but again, it didn't happen, and it's happening now. So like it's been something that I've been building. Once I made the decision to start contributing to, building that generational wealth, like really, really just doubling down on it.
Yeah.
And that's part of it, is the education piece, because now I have that degree. Like I'm not going to stop there. Ultimately, I do want to go back for my bachelor's and my master's, because I do want to teach. And then, having a degree is important, because there's different aspects of, because you obviously like YouTube and things like that. Like there's a lot. I've learned a lot from YouTube University. So
no, absolutely. No, that's a huge thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of free resources.
Absolutely.
Like Google has a ton of like free like workshops, and I won't put you guys on right now. Google Ads, like just YouTube videos, how to do advertising for that is free. Like you could do it yourself, not have to, if you can't afford it, just learn it and do it. Schedule your content. Canva has a scheduler. You could put, I'm dropping gems right now. Canva has a publishing tool that you can literally just automate all your posts, and of course sporadically engage and create content with people. But I have this conversation with a lot of artists. Just randomly, or I'll see them talk about like how exhausting it is to be on social media, or just like being able to just put your phone down and and automating your shit, automating your stuff, automating your content will enable you to have that space to like not have to overthink it. Like you really just, if you were to plan like once a month for just like 2 hours,
knock all that out.
Knock everything out.
Work smarter, not harder, right?
Work smarter. That's in one of my songs.
Amen. I love it. I want to get into some of your music at some point, because we haven't done that. Course. But first, it's time for a pop quiz.
Oh.
So.
Oh no.
Yeah. That's usually the reaction we get on this show when pop quiz comes up. So, for those people that don't know, pop quiz is a segment of the show where we ask you a series of questions. Some have to do with music and some might just be random, and you never know what you're gonna get on pop quiz. And you're never gonna know what I found out about. And that's usually like we get into the down and dirty.
Oh no!
So
wait a minute.
It's nothing embarrassing. Don't worry. It's gonna be okay.
I got stories, Mike, but I don't know if I can say them on this platform.
We're pretty, I like to think this is an educational platform. I almost call it educational. We're an educational program brought to you by, no, I'm kidding. No, we have fun on here. It's a good time.
I got tea too if you want tea. So.
This first one, I think you'll have some fun with. I think this one, it's not too embarrassing, but I think it's funny. So. Do you still have any beef with Teslas since your encounter failing to open a car door? Or the car door? Because that was I don't know.
Mike.
You put it out there. It wasn't, listen, you put it out there. It wasn't me.
Are you going to put a clip of that in here?
Of course.
How do I open it? Oh. Wait. Okay. That was my first time. All right. So I grew up in the housing projects, y'all. I don't know a lot of people with, I don't come from money. I don't know a lot of people who do come from money. I have people in my network now who are, you know, doing well, etc. So one of my friends is doing really well, and you know, he got a Tesla. So his girl is, well, she's one of my best friends, my sister. Shout out to Arlene. She had the whip, right? So we all going to. I don't think, like, I've seen Tesla, like, I've never been in one, but no, Mike, to answer your question, I no longer struggle with Tesla doors.
There's no beef there, like, you don't want to fight with Elon Musk or anything like that. Well, maybe.
I mean, I still want to fight Elon Musk.
Yeah, maybe for different reasons.
Verbally. I don't get physical, but just.
Okay, sure. No, of course. Yeah, I didn't mean, yeah. No, we don't condone violence on Turntable DJs. I want to make that clear.
Use your words.
Yeah. Which he has a hard time doing. But anyway, this actually goes to my next question, actually. You might actually like this question a lot. So I feel like you've kind of seen it all when it comes to content marketing. And that's like, you love content marketing. That's like your big thing, from the early days of AOL Messenger to now with TikTok being what it is. I'm curious to hear your thoughts about Threads. Do you think Threads is here to stay? Do you think it's simply just like or do you think it's simply a Twitter knockoff that we're all going to like forget about by the end of the year?
I mean, it can go either way, man.
In your opinion, though, like if you can like see into your crystal ball, like do you think your content marketing crystal ball, do you think Threads is here to stay?
I think it's here
we won't hold you to it either, by the way.
Oh yeah.
You know?
I mean, honestly, in my opinion, I think it's here to stay. I know there's a couple of like Twitter supporters who are like gung ho about, I'm staying on Twitter, I won't join Threads. But honestly, I was on it for a couple of days, and I don't buy into the vanity metrics, but like I feel like hopping on it and seeing what it's about and then seeing where it goes. But so far I like it because of the simplicity, and I feel like I see my suggestions are people that I rock with, like in real life. Mm-hmm. So it's cool. It's been really cool. I like it so far. But we'll see. We'll have to see where it goes. I think only time will tell, but I think it's a good place to, similar to Twitter, but it's just, for me, it's less overstimulating as it is right now with how simple it's designed, and it's pretty straightforward. And I actually see updates from people I want to see updates from. Mm-hmm. It's just interesting.
Yeah, I find it. I was never a Twitter person and still not. So for me, it's like, I guess, my little version of Twitter now. I haven't found myself going back. I like joined it. I posted like 2 things, but I haven't found myself going back to it lately. So
I don't at all. I have one, and I don't really.
It's just in the apps. I don't know. That's why I don't know if it's gonna last or not. But
I know.
Hey,
we'll see.
All right, good for you, Zuck, for trying to rip Musk from under his.
They could use the competition, because competition is healthy, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Although I don't know, I also have opinions about Meta, so there's that. Because they kind of have a monopoly with, like, when he bought Instagram, I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, no, he's gonna ruin it. Like,
well,
but it kind of,
and
pros and cons.
And Facebook's there's hard evidence that Facebook helped to start a genocide. So it's like it's not. Yeah, I mean, neither. They all have skeletons in their closet. We'll just go from.
I can't talk. Was it problematic? A little problematic.
It's very problematic. It's very problematic.
Definitely
it's not great.
No.
Or I want to say it helped. I don't want to say. I'm not sorry. I don't mince my words. That Facebook started a genocide. I'm not saying that. Yeah. Facebook was a platform that was utilized to start a genocide, and
I think the law hasn't really caught up with regulating certain things, just because like technology is just moving so fast.
I know.
Social media is moving so fast, and our legal system, unfortunately, is slower than molasses. So
it really is. So it's not great.
And I laugh, like, not haha funny. I'm just like,
I hear you.
It's like, it just sucks, but hopefully things will get better. But that's why I just like, use it wisely. I think it's all about how you intend to, like, what your intentions are when you go on there.
Right. I agree.
And it's just, obviously you have trolls. Like, trolls have been there for forever, but I just be blocking people. I block people. I block stuff I don't want to see. Like, you can curate your timeline.
Yep. You have the power to decide that.
Exactly.
100%. What's your favorite part of North Shore Community College? If you can, like, I know there's so many good things you love about it, but like, if there's one thing you could like hang your hat on, like as a staple of this was what makes North Shore Community College so great, what would that one thing be?
A lot of alumni and students and staff, faculty, everybody across the board usually say it's the support system, whether it be in the students, the faculty, the staff. And I have to shout out Diane McDermott Sarasulu, and she was my marketing professor. I took a bunch of classes with her, and she's over the years has become a mentor to me. And if I ever have a question or etc., like we'll grab lunch or coffee. You know what I mean? Like it's like I'm really happy with the connections that I made over there. And also shout out to Dermot Smith. He was my video professor. I took one class there and it was off to the races. Yeah, and he was the one. Between him and Diane, they were two of the people faculty wise that were instrumental in not only the digital video certificate, but I think Diane was instrumental also in a lot of in a few of the other programs, like the social media marketing certificate, which it doesn't tie you down to the 2-year commitment if you don't want to go to school for 2 years and do the digital and social marketing like I did, which I actually split up those 2 years. So it really took me about 4 years to finish. Okay. But I took classes in the summer, but it's like they work with you with your schedule. I love that. I think the flexibility. So maybe 2 things: flexibility and support. They
can go hand in hand. They can
go hand in hand
because flexibility can be very supporting.
It is part of support.
So it makes sense.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been able to do it otherwise because kids, school, work. Yeah.
Yep. Now it's a great segue because my next question is because you've said it a bunch of times. You're a mom of 3 lovely children and you love your kids. Like I can tell. Just you talk about them all the time and I know you absolutely love them. Yeah. What's like a non-negotiable in your house when it comes to your kids? Like what's your parenting style? Are you like you more laid back, you strict, somewhere in the middle, and then is there like a non-negotiable you have with your kids? Like they have to be in bed at a certain time, can't eat a certain type of food, or like only 30 minutes of TV. Like I know, like in my house, growing up, the non-negotiable was you get home and if it was nice out, you were immediately outside. That was a non-negotiable until dinner. Like non-negotiable, you're a kid. Get the hell outside. That was that was a non-negotiable. You could do your homework later. Absolutely. Drop off your bag, go get outside. Is there a non-negotiable in your household with your kids?
Non-negotiable is pick up after yourself.
Oh, it's a great one.
There are too many people in this household for me to okay, I get it. It's my responsibility to keep it clean overall, right?
Yeah.
It is your responsibility to make sure I'm not tripping over your shoes or your sister's not tripping over your shoes because I have 3 little girls.
Wow. What are their ages?
11, 10, and 7.
Yeah. So the 11 and then 10-year-old, you can kind of start to kind of put some of those mindsets into them of hey, pick up after yourself. And,
my 7-year-old, she's
still a little young.
She's still, for the most part, though, I have to say, she does listen to, but obviously there's, I forgot, she'll put, thank you, It's just a quick reminder. And then also too, it's just it's part of those life skills.
Right.
Don't be a slob.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, that's great that you're
just
teaching them that.
Reinforcing, just, keep your space, you know what I mean? Because
I love it.
It's your home. You should care for it. And,
of course.
I'm not going to say that my apartment's immaculate, whatever, but it's it definitely was more challenging because at one point I had so my older 2 are 14 months apart.
Okay.
So I basically had toddlers and a newborn at one point.
Wow.
So it was insane.
It
was just I was tripping over the giant blocks and all types of stuff. But over the years they learn. I teach them different things, and my oldest is doing more and stuff like that, and obviously cleaning her own room because that was part of the deal was that you want your own room, okay, you gotta. So but yeah, just as much as I teach them though, I feel like they teach me a lot more.
Yeah, 100%.
After I had them that I went back to college, so that motivation and that focus and that drive really was kind of multiplied because of them. I was
Sure.
I have to do this because I got to do it for them,
right?
And for myself.
Well, of course you want to do it for yourself.
But it was really because I don't want them to go through the same struggles that I had to go through.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so just
love that.
making sure they're set for their future and all that.
Yeah,
so
totally.
yeah.
No, I think that's amazing. Yeah, I was gonna say that earlier, but yeah, thank you for reminding me of that. I was gonna say, like, I'm sure that was such a more motivational thing for you to go back to school for your kids, and then yeah, to make a better life for them. But like you said, to also set the example of like, hey, you can do difficult things in your life.
Yes, and it's never too late.
No,
it's never too late.
No, like like I said, I told you, my mom went back when she was in her early 40s. Me and my brother Anthony were both in high school, and my brother Mark was in middle school, and I remember it to this day. It was very inspiring.
Yeah, shout out to mom.
Yeah, shout out to Mama Turntables. What's something really fun that you all do together? Like, I'm sure you do so many different things fun, but like, is there like something, like a specific night you watch a show, or like specific place you like to go eat, or a park, or I don't know, like, was there like a specific, like, special fun thing that you guys love to do as the four of you?
Oh yeah, so our big thing over the summer is swimming.
Okay.
You know, so getting into the water and like, you know, that's our big activity that we do pretty regularly over the summer, at the Y or wherever. And what else? Another one that we do is that, like, I try to do this monthly, but you know, it's either monthly or we'll pick a movie that's coming out that's like anticipated that they really want to see, and we'll just like plan for it and go, you know. So we're big on movies, and people sometimes don't take me seriously when I say that I take my kids to the movies. They're like, but you know, you have a 7-year-old. I'm like, they do amazingly. That's awesome. I've been taking them since they were very little,
so they know how to behave.
Like, even with, like, you know, when like, even when their dad was like more around or whatever, well, I'll say before he was my ex-husband, rather, when they were little, like, I was like, we should take them. He was like, oh, I don't want to chase them and this and that. I was like, no, but how are they going to learn, you know? So intentionally it would be like family movies or stuff like that. So yeah. I taught them and they taught me, like, okay, what works best for you? Like, do you, like, how often, you know, just taking them to the bathroom or whatever, like, just those breaks and things like that. And, you know, bringing a friend along, or, you know, so we love it. Like, that's our big activity is movies. Like, we're big on films, and
awesome. My
oldest and I love, like, anything Marvel. So yeah, it's awesome.
That's
like,
awesome.
Yeah.
So I know you have a specific gripe with Salem that I'll get to in just a second, but my biggest gripe with Salem personally is, this might sound like petty, but it's the October traffic. I cannot stand it during Halloween. Like, people, like, whenever I meet people that say I grew up in this area, like, oh my God, like, it must be so great, like, during Halloween time you like grew up. It's like, yeah, it's good for like the first year, you're like able to remember it, and then you remember, and then as the years go on, and especially as you get an adult, you're like, oh, this totally sucks trying to get into Salem in the month of October. It is a nightmare. But I know for you, gentrification in Salem is like a huge thing that you are like really struggling with right now. Not personally, but just like from like a existential sort of idea of like, maybe this is not the greatest idea. So can you explain to our audience and your audience why gentrification in Salem why, in your opinion, is such a major problem? So
gentrification in Salem to me is a problem because, and I know it's happening everywhere.
It is, yeah. I know it's happening crazy in Dorchester right now. A bunch of Boston is getting a lot of it.
Yeah, and I think that and there's a couple of issues with that. I'm just writing a note so I don't forget.
No, you're good.
And
I actually love this, by the way. I've never seen nobody's ever come on the show and done this before.
Really?
Just like taking notes during? No, never. You're like the first.
Yeah, it's
like, you are a student through and through. I love it. Like,
Turntable teachers.
I didn't.
Yes.
Well, again, I didn't ask. I didn't want to prize. Like, you know, she can do whatever she wants. She does her thing. But like, you brought it up, so I was like, yeah, this doesn't happen. I know you might think this is completely normal, but this is abnormal for the show. For you, it's normal.
It's totally normal.
But this is abnormal. We've never had this going. You never know what's gonna happen on this show, on this podcast. Look at this. You know, we talk about it all, but like, shit happens. So many things happen.
Take notes, y'all. Take notes. Take notes.
Take notes and take notes. But again, so there's as many things in this country are right now. There's a polarizing sort of kind of two sides, quote unquote, to the gentrification topic.
Yeah.
I know because and I only specifically asked Salem because I know you live in Salem, so I was curious for you, like, because you see that firsthand living in Salem. Yeah, like what are the problems that you see with it?
Where do I begin? Well, I'll start first off. Like, as you know, I was born and raised in Salem. Still there now, and there's just, so I grew up in Rainbow Terrace, which is basically the housing projects. It's between campuses. It's off of Loring Ave, near Salem State. And I grew up there, and Rainbow Terrace is basically a housing projects neighborhood. Built for, or I don't know if it was built for, there's, how do I put it? So it's for veterans, and families who are low income. So those are the priority groups, that they serve. And I lived there from the time I was 4 till I was like 19. So I lived there basically most of my life, because I'm in my mid-30s now. And it was a great place to grow up in, because like we had a playground, and at that time everybody played outside, so it was like, but the problem that I have now is that there is no playground there. They took the playground out, I don't know when. And I'm like, why isn't this a bigger story? Like, where are they, like, oh, they have a basketball court, let me put my 2-year-old on the basketball court. Like, right. What are you supposed to do with that? And then there's a playground. Horace Mann used to be right there on Loring Ave. Mm-hmm. I went to Horace Mann.
Okay.
And there's a playground there, but they like blocked everything off, so you can't get in, because Salem State has like, obviously, like, I understand, because sometimes there are kids who are unattended and unsupervised that go and like, they do stuff there or whatever, and it's a liability issue, I guess, too. I don't know. But my thing is that, like, I don't know how having an accessible space for kids to play is a liability issue. Like, from what I understand is, you play at your own risk with anything. Like at the beach, you see signs up, swim at your own risk. There's no lifeguard on duty. Mm-hmm. So if these public spaces don't exist, and like, if they, to me, it's just fishy when things start to change, the landscape starts to change, because it's like, in my brain, in my opinion, and I know that, and not even my opinion, this is just a cold hard fact. To me, that's discrimination. Because you're not providing, a safe space for these children to play. And the next closest park is like Forest River, which is like, it's up the street or whatever. But it's like, what about people who are limited with their mobility? You know what I mean? Like, they don't have transportation, or they can't walk very far, and they want to take their child or grandchild or whatever to the park. They can't. There's no place for them to play. So that's one of the issues that I've had. And it's just been, and I know that the leadership that we've had over the last like decade or so has been very much lacking in transparency. We've had like, welcome to Mass. But there's just like, certain cities do a better job of really caring about their community, and really just being present for them. Because that's what it's all about. If you're as strong as your community is, that's as strong as your city's going to be. And I say community as, the people that have the least, right, who are, and this is the part where like my church upbringing has what I sort of took away from that was a community aspect, like serving others, helping others, like people are in need, the widow and the orphan, right?
Sure.
Those aspects are, I think, sometimes forgotten by people in power, because they're more concerned with budgets and numbers and development and this and that. And it's like Salem, for example, has built so much on that land that is basically swamp, like some. Yeah. I think we're about it. I still call it Bowditch. It used to be Bowditch, which is another issue. Bowditch was a K-8 that my daughter attended in kindergarten. They closed down Bowditch, claiming or alleging segregation, but that didn't make sense, because it was a school that was providing a lot of services to a very diverse population. Yeah. But I guess for a lot of the students that made up that the demographics of the students at the time was like mostly Latino, but it's like, you have a bilingual program. Of course, it's going to attract Latino students. Like, what You know what I mean? And some of those students, it's not even that, excuse me, it's not even that they knew Spanish. It was just that they come from families that maybe they want to learn Spanish or et cetera. And some of them did. Some of them were, they had, come to this country from, the DR or Puerto Rico or Central America or wherever.
Sure.
And we do have a Latino community and population, but unfortunately, we're not very well represented in those spaces where our voices should be heard. There's been a lot of what I call performative, or what has been coined as, right? When I learned this, I was like, that's crazy. It's perfect to describe it. Performative acts of solidarity. Yeah. Claiming equitable opportunities when you're sort of, you know what I mean? Like, you're saying one thing but doing something else, right? Mm-hmm. And so the development piece, number one, for the land is bad. It's horrible. They're trying to take Pioneer Village. They're trying to move that somewhere else. It's a historical site. It should stay where it is, period. And then there was just a lot of, like, it wasn't even, and it's just, I have, like, there's a couple of, like, I won't say conflicts of interest, but it's sometimes, it has been difficult for me to talk about because I don't want, like, retaliation or whatever, but I don't care anymore because it's just, I'm so sick of it. And this is why things continue happening, is because people don't say anything, and then it continues happening, continues to happen. So I've been just having these conversations with people and being in these spaces and saying, what can we do about this? And most of it is just showing up to those meetings and speaking up, and just talking about your experience, and just, it's just been that they've been just changing things. Some of the change is good. Like, we were in debt. Like, the city was in debt bad. So shout out to, former leadership for being part of that. Okay, great. But now it's like the tourism is insane. Like, it takes me half an hour to get from one part of Salem to the other. And then back in the day, that was unheard of. It would take me like 10, maybe 12 minutes tops, or less, And now it's just like, you said October traffic, but I'm like, it's all year round. It's crazy. Year round now. Yeah. And they're talking about extending haunted happenings into November, which I'm like, oh my God. I'm like,
please no.
Don't. But it's just like, you can come to Salem any time in the year, and it's beautiful. And I hope I don't regret that. But yeah, coming in October is just like, I wish it was just like not as hectic, but I don't think there's really nothing you can do about it at this point. I think it's too poppin' for anybody to really like dial that down at all. But I think that I really would like to see a shift in how the communities, how Salem's leadership is addressing these problems. There was one instance last year over the summer. No, I'm not sure if it was over the summer, but there was a cheerleader practice at Forest River Park, which is a public space. Somebody called a noise complaint. Somebody called in a noise complaint, and then these children are no longer allowed to do cheerleading at Forest River. And I'm not sure if that still stands, but the last I heard, they were being removed from that. And I haven't had a chance to follow, but I wanted to put that out there because it was all over Facebook. I'm not sure if it made the paper. I want to say it did, but it's just like, people know that it happened, but I don't know of anything that was done to fix it. Yeah.
It's the age-old story these days. Yeah,
it is definitely the age-old stories, which I think that also too is a form of discrimination, because you're discriminating against people with families. And this is going into this other aspect of when they build these apartments and condos and things like that. I've only seen like as big as like 2 bedrooms. I haven't really seen 3-bedroom, 4 bedrooms. And I'm like, you're discriminating against families of a certain size, because a 2-bedroom, they advertise it as, it's an extra room, or it's an office, or this and that. And I'm like, families like need places to live too, right? Like people, which I feel like it's, I mean, there's obviously a housing crisis, and, we need to, but the infrastructure of Salem is crumbling. There's a water main break like every other month. We just like, I feel like and then I think somebody had mentioned, and I don't know how true this is, probably probably have to fact check this, but somebody had mentioned that one of the pipes was like wood, or had wood in it or something. That's how old it was that it was like such an old material, that, and these things keep failing across the city. I'm going to take a sip of water because I've been talking.
Go for it.
So some of these water mains and things like that and pipes across the city have been just breaking. And they don't, it's the age-old story of sometimes certain officials or places, depending where you go or who you ask, it's just like, well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it's like, I know that there's a record somewhere there has to be records somewhere, or if maybe there's a record keeper, I don't know, to get ahead of the issue before it becomes one. Because then it's such a headache, and like it causes more traffic or this or that. And again, like, how are you going to sustain all these people? Like, all these people are talking about building and having more. It's like you're shoving all these people into this small space, and then they're talking about developing like Shetland Park, Lee Fort Terrace, which I was recently on. I spoke on, what podcast was it? Her name's Sabby, and I have to look her up, Sabby Sab, but she's amazing YouTuber, talks about different like political and social issues. And this is one of the things, is that the residents of Lee Fort Terrace got a letter that they had to leave within 120 days.
Oh wow.
Yes, because and then it's just like, why are you privatizing public housing? You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, we're gonna make a building and they can come back in 2 years. 2 years?
What are they supposed to
So
do?
you're gonna make them? These are veterans, elderly folks. Where are they supposed to go? Number one, they're all on fixed income.
It'd be
Most
one
of them
thing
have
if they're like,
SSI or
oh, we're
SSDI.
going to put that, we have a space that we can provide to bring them for the 2 years, and then we'll bring them back until that would be a different story.
Like, I want to see. Okay, all right, bet, put up for the hotel then.
Yeah.
Put them in a hotel. Get a grant or whatever. You got all this money you're sitting on, which I'm sure that it'll get siphoned out by someone like wanting to get a $50,000 office chair or whatever. When I ever heard that like politicians buy these expensive ass like pieces of furniture, I was like, you could have thrifted that. Like, what? It's crazy. And I'm like, no wonder why this country's in debt. or whatever, wherever we're at. I don't even pay attention anymore. It's hard. Such a headache.
It's so much.
Yeah. So
yeah. Ugh.
That's my. I have a little bit of a. I guess I'll say vendetta for lack of a better word, but it's just like something that's constantly on my mind because I'm just like always looking at it. And there's a lot of there's good things. There's good and bad in gentrification. Obviously property values go up, etc. But I think I would like to see a shift in helping people that are just even like the stuff we talked about earlier with like informing them of these different programs and different things, because education really is like, I think education is the great equalizer.
Yeah. It is.
Shout out to Angel Garcia, who's a fellow alum of North Shore Community College. He's the most recent student trustee, and just an amazing human being. Dominican American, and just like really humble guy. And he had mentioned that to me. He's like, education, the great equalizer. I was like, yo, that's so true.
Oh, it 100% is.
It helps. I mean, there's
is.
Obviously like there's people that you start your own business or things like that, whatever, but education really, it will definitely propel you into where you need to be. So I would like to see a shift in like cities and things like that, or maybe partnering with these community colleges to have like maybe satellite locations instead of building. So once, for example, like another thing is too, and I'm thinking of things as I talk, the Section 8 list. Oh,
you're good.
It's a passion. The Section 8 list is like a 10-year plus wait.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I know. Don't ask me even know. I know. Don't get me started on that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's
crazy.
Yeah. It's happening everywhere, unfortunately. It's happening in a lot of places, and it's not. One thing I will say off of what you're addressing, there's a side of the conversation here of people that want to just say, okay, be grateful that you're in the greatest country in the world and blah, 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 and all that stuff. And my response to that is, and I'm glad you said, like, it's not all bad. There is positive. I know a lot of the things you're talking about were the problems, but I want to, obviously, we both would probably reiterate that there are good things happening. There's good things happening in every community. I don't want to address that. Having said all of that, I think the most nationalist thing you can do, or the most prideful thing you can do, is recognize the issues and the fallacies within your own community, speaking up and seeing if you can do something to solve them and change them for the better, so that way it helps everybody. I think that is true nationalism, in my opinion. Now, there's other ways in which, of course, people that serve our country, things like that, like, you know, in military and keep us safe and whatnot, that's obviously a way of it. But I'm saying from a perspective of a regular, normal, law-abiding citizen that just wants equal. Like, and the crazy part about it is minority groups like the Latino community or the Black community or even the LGBTQ plus community, they're not asking for all of these unrealistic things. They're just asking for the same opportunity as everybody else. They're just asking for a little bit of equity. It's almost as if like there's just a certain group of people that make it seem as though these requests are outlandish.
Right.
And it's really not. Like, granted, there is statistics that show people are having kids later these days and having less kids. That is a fact. Right. But that doesn't necessarily mean that there are no more families of four. For you to say that this building is only having 2-bedroom, maybe a few that are 3-bedroom, like that doesn't serve everybody. Like, how can you're a family of four yourself? Like. Putting family of four in just a 2-bedroom apartment, that's tricky. That's not. You
can't even do it.
That's difficult.
Like if so,
potentially not even feasible.
I'll be straightforward with it because I think there's a stigma when it comes to subsidies and things like. I have Section 8, and I'm not afraid to talk about it because I think it's important that I'm not intending to be on Section 8 forever. I think it's a great program that people don't have a full knowledge about. For example, when I was in school, when I did a work study. That is considered grant money. So I was able to buy books. I got a you know what I mean? Like so with Section 8, it's like 30% of your income, which is crazy because most financial experts say that you should not be paying more than 25% of your income for the roof over your head.
It's
it's
more than that now for most people.
Yeah.
Because of...
It's crazy.
Yeah.
You have to work like 2-3 jobs. And I'm like, I can't work 2-3 jobs.
Yeah,
I have one job.
You have 2-3 kids.
I have 2 jobs. I'm a full-time mom. And then I have, I'm employed. So it's like...
Sure.
It's just...
It's hard.
It's hard. So obviously, like, I'm grateful for these programs, like subsidies and Section 8 and vouchers and things like that. Because otherwise, it would have been, way crazier. But, those types of, like... equitable programs and having that access is very important.
Yep.
And then also too, just knowing about it. Like I've my caseworker at the time that does like the verifications and documents and everything.
Sure.
She didn't even know that because you have to report your income and stuff. So she wasn't aware that if you did a work study, that's not counted. Like they don't count that income because it's a grant because it's supposed to be used for school or whatever. Whatever needs you have, right? So it was just amazing. Like I've learned things along the way that I'm like, why don't people know this? Or why don't people know this? You know what I mean? So I've just, whenever I can, I bring it up and I bring these things up because there's always a way out, but it's just like getting there sometimes. It's really hard to even get to it or, it takes time, et cetera, that whole thing. But, yeah, like these groups are not asking for much at all. And I think that it's just unfortunate to see how like affirmative action was overturned.
Yeah, that's just...
It broke my heart because I was like, what? And I got into it with someone in my speech class because they said something about, and the kid was young, Caucasian, and just kind of lived in a bubble, comes from like a well-off community, and said something like, oh, affirmative action is like discriminating or some crazy thing. I'm like, do you even know what you're saying? So I did a whole...
You don't know.
I made a video about it. Systemic racism in the United States. And I talked about like, mortality rates of African-American women in hospitals and expectant mothers and things like that. And like just the statistics and everything, and I just threw a bunch of stuff. I talked about over policing in communities of color. I talked about Field Order 15 and how that was overturned, and like a lot of people don't know this stuff. I talked about Black Wall Street. Like I think I talked about Black Wall Street. Oh no, I mentioned it I think in the discussion post or whatever. I went in and I was like, listen, I don't know everything, but there's a bunch of stuff I know. I'm like, don't get me started on like you know, the all the broken treaties with indigenous folks.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're all on stolen land. Like, it's not, you know, and there's just been nothing. And
it's not a secret.
It's not a secret. It's there. It's just like the people just keep trying to sweep it under the rug. And I was like, that's why critical race theory is such a controversial topic, when it's like, do you even understand what it's teaching? Like,
No,
if
people
you were
don't.
to, people don't care, because it's just like, they're racist and they don't want to admit it. Like, period. Or, you know what I mean? They just, whatever, or they just don't care. Some people just don't care about anyone outside of their little bubble, and it's just a lot of it's either ignorance or cognitive dissonance, you know what I mean? And
I think it's more of that, in the sense of, and then also people like feeling as though my life is somehow going to like either change or be uprooted if I, you know what I mean?
They're afraid.
There's like a fear of it. I think I 100% agree with you that obviously there are people out there that are it just it is what it is. There's people out there that are racist. You know what I mean? We're never. I'm hopeful that someday, maybe it won't be in our lifetime, but maybe in our kids or our kids' kids, where that won't be as so much in our faces anymore.
For sure.
And that, you know, not to say that we don't talk about race, but that there's not, that at least we just can't have open dialogues about race.
Right.
And have it,
and
just
have
listen
to
equity.
each other.
Yeah.
You know, even if
because at the end of the day, the empathy part's the biggest thing of it. You know, it's like you have to understand where someone else is coming from in order to even begin to, you know, understand their own perspective. And I think we get in these echo chambers, unfortunately, and just it's difficult. I want to first thank you for bringing these topics up, because I do get to talk about these things sometimes, but not always. So sometimes they come up, sometimes they don't. And this was a little bit more in depth than I think I've gotten on this topic on this podcast, and actually a little while. So
nice.
I appreciate you coming on and talking about these things, because I enjoy talking about them too. I think they're important. The music, and that's what I love about art, is that it allows us to dig into these topics more, and gives it a space that's a little more safe and easy to access, and then for us to actually like have these conversations. So of course the point of me bringing you on today was the fact that you're an artist, and a budding artist, and a rising one, and you have amazing things going for you, but I know that you care about these topics too, and I do as well. So that's why
I can talk about this all day.
I know, and that's why I know, and I know. No, it's okay, and I do need to segue, because we are running a little out of time. But I just, all I have to say is, off of in conclusion of this conversation, is people out there, don't be afraid to have these conversations with your inner circle. I'm not saying you have to like have these conversations all the time, but if they're going to come up, have them in spaces that are safe and important, because the dialogue needs to continue, and and people that do feel as though they're being discriminated against, I hope they continue to speak up, and people that are maybe a little bit more privileged in whatever way, shape or form that it might be a voice for those people as well, or just be an ally and just listen. Maybe not even be a voice, listen. I think that actually too is a big thing. Like I am happy I got to sit here today and actually listen to you, because you know more about these things than I do, especially from the point of Salem. That's why I asked, and I wanted to sit here and listen. So I'm glad I learned today, right?
Appreciate
the
it.
Teachers can learn, guys. We all can, all right? It's not just for kids. You know, learning doesn't stop once you get out of college.
No, it's always learning.
Continues.
Life is a journey of learning.
Of course. And overall, I want to thank you for coming on today, because this was an amazing conversation. I'm so glad we had it. Quickly want to ask you about your album.
Yes.
That you're working on.
Yes.
So when can people expect some new music from you?
Yeah.
Because I know you're working. What's on the horizon potentially for the rest of the year and going forward for musically from Solmaria? What can fans or potentially new fans hear from you?
I have well, first of all, I have brought a gift for you.
A gift?
I brought you a gift. Yes.
I never get gifts.
Oh, well, today is a day of first, my friend. So this is my very first t-shirt drop. This is my very first t-shirt. 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 This is and I
No way.
I brought an XL. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
Whatever.
I'll squeeze into it.
So-
I'll fit into it. Excuse
It's a
me.
little wrinkly because it was in my bag.
You're good. You're good.
But this is
Hell
the
yeah.
T. This is the first like logo. I kept it simple,
Nice.
and what I've been doing, I've been like signing, just putting my name on it to personalize it. But yeah, I'm gonna be doing a couple more drops. But yeah, this is the first batch. So limited edition.
Hell yeah. Thank you so
Get
much.
one of the very first ones.
That is so sweet.
Appreciate it.
Wow.
As a thank you for everything you do for the local scene and for inviting me on. So I wanted to. My mom, again, I'm Puerto Rican. I was taught you don't go to someone's home empty-handed. So I was like, let me bring something.
Oh, man. Well,
just to.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This is a I love the color too.
Right.
My girl is constantly trying to get me in different colors because I'm
Hey.
like not. I am so like gray, blue, black,
That's
white.
your-
You know what I
that's your
mean? Like
palette.
that's my palette. So she's gonna be excited.
Fire.
These are dope.
Thank you.
These will be out available for people to purchase at some
Those
point?
are available. The purple are available, limited quantity.
Hell yeah.
I will be performing I have a couple of shows coming up. So yeah, we'll be out there. I'll have my shirts, whatever I have left.
heard
Again,
it here
limited
first.
edition, $25, and
Wow.
you're supporting a small business, so thank you.
Oh. Well, this
So,
was
yeah.
this was so amazing. Thank you
Yes.
so much.
And I don't know if I mentioned. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The music that. So
No,
I
go ahead.
have.
Yeah, I want to talk about quickly.
I have a single, Cautionary Tale, is dropping at the end of August. I don't have
Hell yeah.
a set date, but stay tuned for that. And then, again, I'm working on my album. I don't have a release date yet,
That's okay.
but a lot of great music on the horizon. And just catch me at a show. Come talk to me, vibe out, and yeah, it's always a good time.
Awesome.
I love talking to people and just connecting with them. And my music is I do a lot of like storytelling and positive type of vibes. So
Yeah, I can tell. I can absolutely see that. And people can find you on Instagram,
Yeah.
Facebook, whatever you're at. It's oh my god, it's Soul, right? OMG.
Yeah, so-
we'll put it on the screen in the description, but
yeah, so tap in OMG ITZSOL. I'm on TikTok. I talk a lot of shit on there and just do random things, and it's fun. So yeah, Instagram, TikTok. I'm on Facebook as Solmaria Musica. So yeah, just
fire.
tap in, and I'm on Threads.
She's on Threads,
She's
guys.
on
the new one.
It's a movement. No, I'm just
Well,
kidding.
thank you so much for this. I can't let you go without giving you the final question, which is the open response. And this is my favorite question to ask when we come on.
Before you ask,
Go ahead.
My friend,
ahead,
by
yeah.
the way, J Love Creates. She designed that. So
Oh,
tap
shout out
in
to
with
J
her.
Love.
J Love.
Shout out to J Love.
My homegirl Bianca. So yeah. So your question.
This is the dream song scenario.
Oh.
So we ask every artist who comes on this show if they had a dream song. What would that dream song be? So I'll structure it for you. You get 1 to 2 producers and 3 guest artists, and it's your song. It can be dead or alive. So you have anybody who's ever put out music ever. It can be local, can be national, does not matter. But it would be your song, 1 to 2 producers and 3 guest artists. Who would be on Soul Maria's dream
1 to 2
song?
producers and 3 guest artists. Damn. Ooh, that's a tough one. I would have to say Pharrell
Pharrell.
as a producer. Yeah. Yeah.
Great
I've just
choice.
been listening to him for so long. He's done a lot of amazing things.
Oh my
and,
God, yeah. He's
just
mentored
a
so many.
genius.
Oh,
on
credible. Oh,
genius
yeah.
level,
Just- Yeah, 100%.
I gotta say Jay-Z too.
Okay.
Just because of like, I know that, I don't know. There's always like, it's an opinion based thing, but for me personally, it's just been a matter of like how influential a lot of his music was for me, and just
For sure.
another genius level artist, and then 3 guests. I gotta go local, man. I gotta
Go for it.
I gotta go with Red Shades.
Red Shades,
Brady
let's go.
Blaze, and Oompa. I think
Damn.
shoot. I wish I could add more on there, but just that, like, I really like. I have seen, like I'm very much like, I love their messages and what they do with their own platform, and how, like, it's very much like female empowerment and community, and et cetera. And they're just badass, I just
They're
like,
badass.
yeah, that would
And
be my dream song, honestly. I mean, they're probably I'm gonna get hate comments like there is so much other whatever artists you could have chosen.
No.
Like,
It was your
yeah.
it's your
But
choice,
no, like,
and we've kind of
yeah.
come full circle.
Yeah.
From the
Yeah.
beginning of the episode where we were talking about Red Shades and Brandy Blaze and
Yeah.
Upa. So.
And there's a couple big names that I would, but honestly, like, yeah, I gotta shout out my locals. You know, it's.
Well, I like it because if you were to get if you were able to work with Pharrell and Jay-Z, you're bringing the ladies with you. You know what I mean? You're bringing the pioneers in this hip hop game.
Essentially, like I don't even like I don't take that lightly. It's just like, I mean, there's just been that influential.
Yeah.
That
They
like, y'all, let's go. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
I'm gonna send this clip to them. They're definitely gonna appreciate that. So big shout out to
Love y'all.
Brandy Blaze, Red Shades, and Oompa, and then of course Pharrell and Jay-Z. I mean, I don't know if you listen to this, you're probably not, but like if you
Just
do,
in case.
I don't know. Just in case, we're gonna manifest it. We're gonna make it happen. It'll be a pretty great dream song scenario for Soul Maria. Thank you so much for being here. This was such a phenomenal episode. Like, I truly appreciate your time and your knowledge, wisdom, and I feel like I am walking away from this rejuvenated as I normally do from these, but extra because of what you were able to bring to this. If you're a fan of Soul Maria, just coming on to us for the first time, you can follow us at Turntable Teachers on Instagram, TikTok, and follow our website, hit up our website, www.turntableteachers.com for all the latest blogs, podcast episodes, merch, etc. And as always, follow us at AOA Studios or AOA.studios on Instagram, AOAstudios.org if you want to book a session with us today. Once again, thank you so much for being here, Soul Maria. This is an amazing episode, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mike. And thank you for watching.
Of course. As always, I'm Mike. That's Soul Maria with the Turntable Teachers, and class is officially dismissed.
Turn.